Welcome back to the 2022 October Horror-thon, folks. Last year, on my October Horror-thon, I brought you a movie called The Evil Dead. We all know that one, right? One of my favorite horror movies ever made. This one, Evil Dead 2, is even better. Evil Dead 2 came out in 1987. Of course, the original coming out in like 1980, 81, somewhere around there. This one, 1987, stars, again, Bruce Campbell as Ash, our main protagonist. Written and directed by Sam Raimi. Now, of course, you know Sam Raimi, right? He did the Spider-Man movies, did the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie. Lots of crazy stuff. And he's got a distinct style that kind of transcends genres, but is perfect for the Evil Dead 2, which I believe is his masterpiece. Now, okay, in the first Evil Dead, we had a group of teenagers. They travel out to the woods, a cabin in the woods. They find some old tapes in the basement, and they play them back, and it turns out they're instructions on how to summon demons from the Book of the Dead and the Necronomicon. Yeah, so they all end up possessed or killing each other and dying in horrific ways. Now, in the beginning of Evil Dead 2, probably like the first 20 minutes or so, we recreate the events of Evil Dead 1, except eliminating all those extra characters, and really it's only just Ash and his girlfriend that go up to this cabin. And they go through the same sort of things happen, but it's condensed down to 2 characters. So I guess it's like a reboot, or it's like a retelling, or whatever, because you pretty much can ignore the whole first movie and just get into this, and there's the story right there. But I think they kind of wanted to improve what they did in the first movie a little bit, and maybe assume that, well, people aren't going to go back and watch that, who cares. This one does it just a little bit better. It goes just a little bit crazier. Like, obviously Sam Raimi had a much bigger budget for this one. Bruce Campbell really gives it his all in this performance. There's so many crazy things happen in this movie. It's non-stop. Like, basically there's about a total of about 5 minutes of this movie where there isn't something gory or scary or hilarious going on. There's a bit of dialogue, but it doesn't really come until later in the movie. Most of this movie is Bruce Campbell being harassed by demons and getting sort of semi-possessed himself and going crazy and getting covered in buckets of blood and, getting whacked in the head like all over the place and getting chased. They show that like tracking shot, the super speed, and it's following Bruce Campbell through the forest, through the cabin, through the woods. Classic Sam Raimi camera work stuff. Yeah, it's got all the, like, in addition to like the gore that makes the visuals in here spectacular, it's got all those kind of camera tricks, like the Dutch angles, the tracking shot, the quick cuts, hard cuts, jump cuts, whatever all those film students all talk about all the time. But yeah, it's crazy. It's just plain crazy movie, and crazy entertaining as well. I mean, some of the scenes in here, like some of the things that happen, are gonna stick with me for the rest of my life. Like, especially like when Ash has his hand gets possessed and he has to amputate his own hand and he puts a bucket over it and so it doesn't crawl away. And he puts a couple of books on top of the bucket. And one of those books is A Farewell to Arms. Clever. Yeah, and another good scene is there's the monster in the cellar. I think that comes from the first movie, but they do it again here. But it's like a crazy puppet monster in this one. And it gets its head stuck between the cellar door and the floor. And somebody jumps on it, and it pops the eyeball out, and the eyeball sails across the room and goes directly down somebody's throat. That's comedy gold, man. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, but hey, I laugh my ass off. Just physical comedy that Bruce Campbell does in here It's hilarious and it's freaky and a little bit scary, you know. Well, you know, in terms of like actual scares, there's a good amount of them in here. You know, some of the effects are a little bit. I mean, this is 1987. Yeah, it's not quite there, but it's pretty inventive and pretty awesome. And I don't know. I don't really know how much I can really tell you about this movie because you have to see this. If there's one movie that I recommend for Halloween, it is The Evil Dead Part 2. One of the scariest, freakiest, funniest movies I've ever seen in my life. So I have to go ahead and go out on a limb and give this one an A+. That's right, it is one of my favorite movies ever made, and it was a pleasure to watch it again this October Halloween season, and I think that you should too. So until next time, folks, have a good one.